What's up, everybody? This is Big Sarge back with another video, and in this video I'm going to be explaining to you what a 352 November or a signal intelligence analyst technician warrant officer is, in case this is what you want to do with your career in the United States Army. So let's get into it. If you've ever watched the spy movie and wondered who's actually listening in on enemy communications, decoding strange signals, and figuring out what it all means for the battlefield, then you're about to learn about the people who do exactly just that. So in the U.S. Army, there's an entire world of intelligence gathering that doesn't involve binoculars, drones, or boots sneaking through the bush. Instead, it's all about the invisible chatter, like radio transmissions, encrypted messages, and satellite data flying through the air every second. And at the heart of this silent war is a unique role, and that is the 352 November, or the Signal Intelligence Analyst Technician Warrant Officer. Now, this isn't your average Army job. It's a highly technical warrant officer position where you're part detective, part tech guru, and part battlefield strategist. You're not just gathering data, you're turning it into information that commanders can act on. And in many cases, your work could be the difference between mission success and failure. So in this video, we're going to break down what a 352 November is all about, from what they do, the training it takes to get there, and why it's such a critical piece of the Army's intelligence puzzle. So with all that being said, let's go. Exactly what is a 352 November? So in a nutshell, a 352 November, they oversee and execute intelligence operations focused on SIGINT, or signals intelligence, and that includes electronic surveillance, intercepting communication, and turning it into actionable intel. So think of it like this. Information is the lifeblood of the military, and signals intelligence is one of the purest, most valuable forms of that information because it often comes directly from the sources unfiltered. The 352 November, they ensure that the Army is not only collecting that data, but making sense of it in a way that supports missions from the squad level all the way up to national defense strategy. So this is a warrant officer specialty, which means it's not an entry-level job, meaning you've already got experience in the intel world and you're stepping into a role that blends leadership, technical expertise, and strategic thinking. All right, so let's talk about the core duties of a 352 November. So here's the real heartbeat of the job. So you're going to find yourself managing personnel and tech involved in intercepting, processing, and analyzing SIGINT and electronic warfare traffic. You're going to be producing intelligence reports that meet strict SIGINT, EW directives, and standards, which directly feed into combat decision making. You're also going to be setting priorities for intercept missions where you decide what to listen to, when to listen, and how to act on those findings. You're also going to be coordinating analytical projects, making sure intelligence gathered from multiple sources fit together to form the bigger picture. And you're also going to be advising commanders and staff where you help shape SIGINT strategy and align missions with the commander's intent. So in short, you're going to be the bridge between raw signals that are collected and informed, timely decisions. All right, next let's talk about a day in the life of a 352 November. So picture rolling into work or setting up in a field environment and diving into the invisible world of signals such as radio chatter, satellite feeds, encrypted data bursts, etc. Now, some days you might be leading a team deploying intercept equipment in the field. Some days you might be monitoring dashboards that track real-time signal traffic. You might find yourself calling over to your network operations team to prioritize a specific target. You might find yourself writing up intelligence summaries that will hit a commander's desk in minutes. Or sometimes you might find yourself coordinating with other intelligence branches to cross-check signal intelligence against human intelligence or geospatial intelligence. And then there's the briefing. So you're going to be walking into the command center and explaining in clear terms what you found. And basically, all of this is high-stakes work that demands both technical precision and the ability to explain complex information in plain language. Now let's go over some real-world, non-classified examples of missions you might find yourself doing. So while the specifics of a 352 November's work is considered classified, we can paint a realistic, unclassified picture of the types of situations you might find yourself in. And these examples are inspired by real-world operational environments and training scenarios that are publicly acknowledged. So the first example is you might find yourself tracking insurgent communications in a combat zone. So imagine you're deployed with a combat brigade in a conflict region. Your SIGINT team has been tasked with identifying and monitoring enemy radio networks. First thing you might find yourself doing is using portable intercept gear where your soldiers detect a burst of encrypted radio traffic in the area of interest. Then you're going to coordinate with linguists and crypto analysts to quickly process the data. Then you're going to look at the analysis to reveal chatter about an impending roadside bomb attack. And then you're going to brief the commander who reroutes a convoy to avoid casualties. And the impact of this is, in this type of mission, your ability to turn a faint signal into actionable intelligence can directly save lives. Another example of what you might find yourself doing is supporting a special operations mission. So a joint special operations unit is preparing to raid a high value target location, and they need to know if the target is home, what security measures are active, and whether reinforcements are nearby. Now, your SIGINT team will deploy to a concealed position and use specialized gear to monitor cell phone and radio frequencies in the target zone. And then once they do all of that, you're probably going to notice an uptick in encrypted messages between the target associates, indicating possible movement. And this intel will allow for the raid team to adjust their timing and secure the objective without tipping off the enemy. So what's the impact of this? Well, in these high stakes missions, seconds matter, and your team insight could mean mission success. Another example could be cyber defense against foreign adversaries. So not all SIGINT happens in a dusty combat outpost. Some of it is conducted in high-tech operations centers. So if you find yourself in there, you're going to be monitoring foreign military communications, and your analysts are going to detect unusual patterns and network traffic directed towards a U.S. Army server. And you might find yourself coordinating with cyber defense teams to analyze the data, confirming it's a reconnaissance attempt by a foreign adversary. And once that happens, countermeasures are going to be put in place to block the attempt and strengthen network defenses. And the impact here is this: your work protects critical systems from espionage and disruption. Another example could be humanitarian aid mission support. So during a natural disaster response overseas, U.S. forces are assisting with relief efforts, and you're tasked with monitoring local communications for safety threats such as looters targeting aid convoys. And your team intercepts unencrypted radio chatter from a group planning to block a main supply road. You then relay that information to military police and local authorities who secure the area before the convoy arrives. And what's the impact of this? Well, even outside of combat, signal intelligence keeps missions safe and ensures aid reaches those that are in need. And then our final example is that of a multinational training exercise. So during a NATO joint exercise, you might be working alongside allied signal intelligence teams to test interoperability. So you might find yourself setting up a signal intelligence collection system and sharing intercepted data with partner nations. And together you all develop a combined intelligence picture, improving everyone's ability to respond to simulated threats. And the impact from this is this type of training can strengthen alliances and ensure everyone can work together effectively in real-world operations. Now, these examples, they highlight something important. As a 352 November, you're not just pushing buttons on a machine. You're piecing together a puzzle that can change the outcome of a mission, protect lives, and shape military strategy. All right, so let's talk about the training and requirements. So becoming a 352 November isn't something that you just walk into. You have to earn your spot. And first, you have to have an enlisted background. So you must already hold an MOS in the Army's 35 series intelligence family, such as a 35 November, 35 Papa, or a 35 Sierra. When it comes to rank, you got to be at least the E5, and no waivers are available for that. When it comes to training, you also have to have completed the MOS producing course for your feeder MOS and the ALC Phase 1 course. When it comes to experience, you need a minimum of 3 years of signal intelligence experience. And if you're coming from 35 Papa or 35 Sierra, you need documented analytical training or equivalent operational experience. And you also need at least 2 NCOERs that highlight exceptional performance in SIGINT roles. When it comes to security clearances, you got to have a top secret clearance that's based on a single scope background investigation, or SSBI. You also have to be SCI eligible, and you have to have a counterintelligence scope polygraph completed within the last 7 years. And you also need a letter of recommendation from a current 352 November warrant officer within the ranks of CW2 all the way to CW5. So the bottom line is this right here. When it comes to you trying to be a 352 November warrant officer, the Army wants proven, trustworthy, and skilled professionals before they let you take the reins. Now, why does all of this even matter? So the 352 November isn't just about listening in. It's about providing the kind of intelligence that can save lives, win battles, and prevent conflicts before they happen. We're talking about tactical impact. So you might intercept enemy comms that reveal an imminent attack. We're talking about operational impact. So your analysis could help coordinate joint force movements or disrupt enemy logistics. And we're also talking about strategic impact. So at the highest levels, your work could influence national defense policy. So for example, when the Pennsylvania National Guard introduced the tactical dismounted electronic warfare and SIGINT system, it was the type of tool that 352 Novembers would manage, where they turned it from just hardware into a mission critical intelligence asset. All right, so let's talk about leadership and development. So, as a warrant officer, you are a technical leader. That means you're going to be training soldiers on cutting edge intercept and analysis equipment. You're going to be maintaining doctrinal accuracy to ensure methods meet Army standards and national standards. You're going to be working with research and development teams to refine signal intelligence tools. You're going to be integrating SIGINT with other intelligence sources for a comprehensive battlefield picture. So, your goal isn't just to lead, is to make the entire SIGINT operation more effective. Now, what makes the 352 November so unique? So here's why the MOS stands out. We're talking about technical plus tactical expertise. So you're both a technical expert and a field leader. We're talking about you're going to be trusted with sensitive data. So you're going to be handling top secret SCI material on the daily. We're talking about cross-domain influence. So SIGINT connects with cyber, electronic warfare, communications, and intelligence fusion. And you're going to be a direct line to the command. So you're often briefing high-ranking officers and shaping their decision making. All right, so let's talk about career path and future growth. First things first, you got to begin as an enlisted 35 series soldier, build your reputation, and gain operational experience. After that, you're going to want to move into the warrant officer ranks as a 352 November, where you want to take on increasing levels of responsibility, where you're often leading SIGINT operations at battalion, brigade, or higher levels. And when it comes to civilian opportunities, you could take all of that experience and help transition into a career working for the NSA, Department of Defense, cybersecurity firms, or find yourself out there making the big bucks doing some intelligence consulting. Now, exactly who will be successful as a 352 November? Well, the best ones tend to be those who are detail-oriented, where every little anomaly in a signal can mean something. They're analytical because they're able to connect scattered dots into a coherent picture. They're adaptable, meaning technology, missions, and threats change constantly, so they're always adjusting. They are clear communicators, meaning they can brief a general as effectively as a new private, and they are calm under pressure because missions, they often come with tight timelines and high stakes. Now, let me go ahead and wrap all this up. Becoming a 352 November, this means stepping into one of the Army's most fascinating and vital technical leadership roles. You're going to be working in the shadows, pulling in signals from across the spectrum, making sense of them, and giving commanders the knowledge they need to make the right calls. Now, it's not a quick path. You're going to need years of experience, top-notch performance, and the trust that comes with handling some of the nation's most sensitive information. But for those who love blending tech, intelligence, and leadership, well, this is a role that's as rewarding as it is challenging.